Hey, today I thought I would do another how-to video for homemade coconut milk yogurt. You really just need a probiotic capsule, and I've tried this with at least 5 different brands of probiotics, and it's worked with all of them. So 1 probiotic capsule and 1 can of coconut milk, and about like a 14-ounce can, 13 ounces. All you do is you take the coconut milk, pour it into a clean jar, stir in 1 probiotic capsule, and let that sit with the lid very loosely on it. So the bacteria from the probiotic are going to be like eating the sugar from the coconut milk and culturing that in the same way that you would regular yogurt with cow's milk. So once you have that done, you just crack open your little probiotic. Okay, so that really is all there is to it. You stir that in, make sure that any probiotic clumps are incorporated, and then you want to put the lid on enough to stop like any dust or anything from getting into it, but not enough to prevent any of the airflow from getting in. You want that airflow for the bacteria. So I usually leave it just a jar like that. And so put this somewhere that is quiet, dark, room temperature. You don't want it going through a lot of extreme temperature changes, and leave it for 24 hours. Then after 24 hours, take a fork, stir it again. At this point, you'll notice that it's starting to thicken, and if you taste it, it's a little less sweet than it would be initially because the bacteria are starting to eat some of that sugar, which is a good thing. If you put a spoon in it, it should kind of like stick to the back of the spoon, but it's still liquidy. Put the lid back on it after you stir it the same way so air can get in. Leave it in that same place for another 24 hours, so 48 hours total. And at that point, give it another stir and stick it in the fridge. It should be the thickness of a plain yogurt. And once it's in the fridge and cools down a little bit, it'll get a little bit thicker. So use this first batch up until you have about a 1/4 cup left. And then you actually don't need any more probiotic capsules. You can make your next batches from the remaining culture that's left in your yogurt. It's been 48 hours and it's time to make the final stir in the yogurt, and then put the lid on tight and stick it in the fridge and use it. So I wanted to show you how thick it gets. So we'll just give it a stir, and you can see that it's like the consistency of a really light pudding, and then that'll get even thicker when you put it in the fridge.
Hi, I'm Russell James and this is The Raw Chef TV. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make coconut yogurt. This yogurt really is so wonderful, completely homemade from the freshest ingredients. Now we're starting off with this fantastic young coconut meat and water. If you're unsure how to get this, just look at the previous episode of The Raw Chef TV where I'll show you exactly what to do. So to make the yogurt, the first thing we're going to do is take the meat from 2 young coconuts. Now of course, each coconut has a slightly different amount of meat in them, but generally 2 is a good guide and will work well for you. Place the meat in the blender along with about a cup of the coconut water. Next we'll need about a teaspoon of probiotics. Now by that I mean a supplement form of probiotic like acidophilus. Sometimes you'll be able to get the powder that is scoopable from the jar, but if you can only get the capsules, simply pull them apart until you have 1 teaspoon's worth. Add this 1 teaspoon to the blender. Blend until smooth and then transfer to a bowl. Cover the bowl and place in a dehydrator at 40 degrees centigrade, which is 105 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 6 to 8 hours. If you don't have a dehydrator, just leave it in a warm place, but for slightly longer. So in either of these cases, the warmth combined with the probiotics cultures the coconuts, just like in a traditional yogurt making process. Now when you uncover the yogurt, have a little taste. It'll be slightly warm, but you'll be able to taste that fermented flavour, and it will taste very much like yogurt. It'll be very familiar to you. To finish off this basic coconut yogurt, I like to put it back in the blender with a little bit of honey, lemon juice and a pinch of salt. Now if you don't use honey, you can substitute with coconut nectar or maple syrup. Blending will also make it smooth again, as it will have formed a little bit of a skin during culturing. Now you can eat this as it is, or you can swirl in some raspberries. I actually like to defrost frozen raspberries or cherries and use those with some of the juice that comes out of them when they've defrosted. And there you have a beautiful dessert that can be given to kids or adults.